Hello and welcome to Tiger Mama Yoga Pregnancy course. This is a video of the core breathing exercises that we will work through during all of the different weeks of content. I've pulled these out separately because you might like to practice them separately, but I've kept them in one video so that you can just progress through and practice in that way. Or if you prefer just to dip in and out to different practices, then I will put those kind of times so you can just jump in at the right time in the notes. So welcome. First things first, setup. If you've watched the intro, then you'll know what you need for setup. If not, very quickly, space. Give yourself some space. You can do these breathing practices sat up, so you might be quite happy just sat on the floor. If you prefer to, you might have a cushion. I have yoga bolster and bricks. You might not have those to hand. Yoga bolster, you just want a really firm cushion or two, pillow or two. I would actually recommend using like a sofa cushion. They're pretty solid, or if you've got a pregnancy sleep cushion, those things are great. One of those. Instead of blocks, you can use books. You can use not bricks. You can use books, you can use pillows, whatever. You just want to be raised up off the floor. So breathing exercises we can do sat with some support, or if you'd like to lie down, then obviously lying fully on your back might not be super comfortable anymore and might not be very good for breathing because we want to breathe. So you might want to come to a nice supported position like this. You can have your knees bent, you can have your knees not together, you can have your legs long. Just make sure if the legs are long, you haven't got too much pulling on the pelvis. Again, trying to keep the pelvis nice and straight, at the arms come out to the side in a relaxed fashion, or you might prefer to have one hand on the heart, one on the belly, or even both hands on the belly. So just have a little play around. This is the first time that you've come here, and just find out what works for you. I'm going to come back to a seated position just so that I can be more present for you. But please feel free to come wherever works for you. I, for example, am now sitting on this cushion because it feels nice and comfortable. Just going to move bits out of the way. So coming to a comfortable seated position. And if you haven't done many breathing exercises or any breathing exercises before, then it's nothing to worry about. We breathe all day long. If we stop breathing, we have an automatic response to start breathing again. Obviously, if we're in a situation where we can, we breathe when we're asleep. So it is this automatic, unconscious system in the body that happens all the time. But as a result, because we're not really aware of it most of the time, we can get into some habits, shall we say. So our lungs, again, a little bit of a biology lesson, you probably will know this, but our lungs, we obviously have two. And the breath comes in through the mouth, down the throat, and then splits off here into the lungs. So the lungs are almost like upside down trees. So the breath comes in these big tubes, then it goes into slightly smaller branches, then it comes all the way to the twigs and the little alveoli, so the little tiny sacs at the very bottom, which is where the air gets absorbed, all the little capillaries into the body. Also, remember our lungs get bigger. They're sort of this way up, aren't they? Like a tree, they get bigger at the top or bottom, as the case may be. And they go in all directions. So we're not just breathing at the front, we're breathing to the sides of the ribs, the back of the ribs. I appreciate it, as we're quite heavily pregnant, we might not feel like we have that much space, but that's why it's important to start early and to really work with expanding through the chest and into the belly. We're not expanding the belly per se, but we're expanding into the belly. So just expanding as far as you can, finding that awareness, particularly reminding yourself you can expand at the front, at the sides, and at the back. It's not all at the front, to create that space. And the breath does many wonderful things. But in the shorthand, if you like, the breath connects the outside world to our inside world. So it gives us this constant connection to our environment. It reminds us we're part of nature. So even our lungs look like those trees. There is this reciprocal connection between ourselves and the plants and the trees around us, where we give out something and they take it. So we give out CO2 and they give out oxygen, and it's this beautiful balance. So it's this lovely place to connect with ourselves, with our breath, with our baby, with the world around us, the environment around us, to mother, the great mother, Mother Nature, Gaia, goddess Gaia, as known and loved by many people. And just to appreciate that brilliance and intelligence of all life. It also is this deep connection to how we feel. So the breath is the biggest shortcut, if you like, to changing how you feel. So if we're breathing really shallowly, if we're breathing quickly, if we're not that conscious of our breath, we're going to feel quite tense. We're going to feel quite het up. The minute we can connect with the breath, we're going to feel a little bit more anchored, a little more connected. The minute we can slow the breath and start to control the breath, deepen the breath, the body's going to start to slow down with the breath. All those whizzing around thoughts and feelings and emotions, that fight and flight, that sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight, starts to slow down. And actually we can start to shift into the parasympathetics, that rest, restore, rest and digest, where actually the energy in the body stops going to our external limbs, our arms, our legs, our muscles for fight, flight, freeze, and actually come back to those internal systems to restore, to rest, to digest. Okay, so again, when you're doing these practices, if your belly starts to rumble, that's good. You're digesting. So if you start to yawn, also good, really great expression or a sign from your body that it's releasing. We carry so much tension, particularly as women, jaws, hips, womb space. So we're doing lots of big lots of big noises. Don't be scared of your noise. Don't be scared of your voice sound, that vibration. It's really releasing and good for us. People go to sound baths for that vibration. We are mostly water. So just allow anything to come out, even if it's not something you want to come out, let it out. Okay, this is a safe space for you, for your baby. So we'll get started without furthermore. So again, sitting or lying comfortably. If you want to close your eyes, I like to close my eyes because there's so much visual information and stimulation all the time. It just allows me to sink into my body. And just take a moment or two with yourself, with your baby, with your body, with your breath. And I always like to start any practice just with a moment of connection to yourself. Maybe ask yourself a question of self-inquiry. How do I feel in this moment? In my body, in my breath, in my mind, in my heart, in my soul. And just allow anything that rises to rise. We don't need to get attached, don't need to get drawn into it. We just observe. Already starting to connect with that ebb and flow, that rise and fall of thoughts, feelings, emotions, the breath, the body. And then bringing awareness into the chest, the heart space. Noticing the breath as you inhale. There's this expansion in the body. The body makes space to draw that air, that energy, that breath into the body. The diaphragm starts to drop and open, inviting the lungs to open in all directions. And as you exhale, feel that softening. The diaphragm starts to draw up and in. It is inviting, it is forcing, it is pushing the breath out of the body. So everything that you don't need, not just that carbon dioxide, but any tension, any stress, any thoughts, any feelings, let it go. If you feel tension in the jaw, you might want to bring the hands up to the face, to the jaw. Give the jaw a little massage, maybe into the cheeks, maybe up into the temples, maybe all the way behind the ears, down into the throat and the chest. So just starting to invite that feeling of softening, that feeling of connection into the body. And we're just going to start with these 3-part breaths. So also known as diaphragmatic breath, 3-part breath, yogi breath. So as you inhale, 3 parts, feel the breath come in to the ribs, the chest, and the belly. And then as you exhale, breath comes out of the belly, the ribs, the chest. Inhale, feel that top part of the chest expand, the ribs expand, the belly expand. Exhale, belly, ribs, chest. Keep that flow, but now imagining, inhale, the front of the body, the sides of the body, the back of the body expand. Exhale, back, sides, and front of the body come back. So we're finding this expansion through front, sides, back, but also top, middle, bottom. And then as you exhale, all that starts to contract in back, sides, front, bottom, middle, top. So just flowing with this breath. Maybe noticing as you deepen the breath and slow the breath. Everything slows down. That exhale at this point can be through the mouth or the nose. You can do a few of each just to see what that difference is. Exhale through the mouth is more releasing. Exhale through the nose is a bit more conscious. It's a bit more cleansing. It's a bit more focused. You have a bit more control over the nasal breath. All we're focusing on at the moment is that diaphragmatic, that yogi breath. And as you exhale, inviting softness not just into that kind of core part of the body, but inviting softness into all of the body. Maybe start at the tip of the head, crown of the head, and invite the forehead, the eyes, the cheeks, and the jaw to soften, particularly on that exhale. Perhaps allow the neck to be long with the shoulders in their sockets, the arms are long, maybe the legs are long or at least heavy on the earth, dependent on where you're sat. Allow the spine to be heavy, whether it's long and erect if you're sat up or soft against the earth or your pillow or bolster. Start to feel that expansiveness, that space you create as you soften. Maybe taking a moment to marvel at the space your body has already created for that ever-growing, ever-evolving new life you are nourishing, fostering and growing inside of your body every moment of every day, whether you're aware of it or not. And this 3-part diaphragmatic breath might be all you need today. You might decide to stay here, allowing the body to come back into balance, to equilibrium, coherence, feeling more grounded, more yourself. If you want to evolve this breath a little, we'll go on to our circle. As you inhale, imagining the breath at the top of the big circle. So as you inhale, the breath goes all the way around to the bottom of the circle. Maybe there's a tiny little pause here as you switch the breath. And as you exhale, that breath comes all the way around the other side of the circle to the top. Again, there's a little momentary pause as you switch. Inhale, breath goes all the way around one side of the circle to the bottom. Little pause. Exhale, all the way around to the top of the breath. So just a nice visualization as you inhale down one side of the circle, little pause. Exhale up the other side, little pause. So we'll stay with this circle of breath just a little longer. Round one side, pause. Back up the other side, pause. And this circle of breath is continuous. Circle, a ring. It's never ending. And that's what our breath is. It's this constant representation of flux and flow, of highs and lows, of ebb and flow, constantly changing, constantly cycling through, changing throughout the day, depending on your mood, your activity, whether you're awake or asleep, whether you're under stress. All sorts of things affect the breath, but it keeps going no matter what. So keeping that circle of breath going. Noticing that as much as it is constant, there are those different parts to the breath. So as you inhale, you travel around. As you switch from inhale to exhale, there is that momentary pause. And then as you exhale, the breath goes out of the body. It's a different feeling. Again, at the bottom of the breath or the top of the breath, you find that little pause again and you continue. So just noticing how you feel as you go. And again, similar to our yogi breath, this cycle or circle of breath is very balancing. It brings awareness into the body, the breath, to how we feel. It invites that breath awareness, that breath control that allows things to rebalance slightly, to calm down or lift up if we're feeling a bit low. And again, this might be enough for you today. If you want to try something similar, but with a slightly different visualization, we'll come into our waves of breath. So similarly to the circle, but this time we'll kind of start at the bottom. As you inhale, imagine a wave rising up to the top of the wave. There's a little pause as you switch into your exhale. Exhale, that wave falls down nice and slowly. Little pause at the bottom of the breath. Inhale, another wave rises. Little pause at the top of the breath. Exhale, that wave falls gently down into your body of water below. Little pause. Inhale, the next breath rises. Pause. Exhale, that wave breaks and falls. Pause. Inhale, wave rises. Exhale, wave falls. And again, with this breath, it can be a purely nasal breath in through the nose. Top of the wave, out of the nose. Bottom of the wave. But actually, if you want something a little more releasing, it's really nice here to start to focus on exhales through the mouth. So we inhale through the nose, top of the breath, pause, exhale slowly through the mouth. Almost as though you're blowing out a candle or a dandelion cloud. Inhale, rising. Exhale, slow, steady release on that. Exhale through the mouth. So stay with this breath. Inhale. Exhale through the mouth. Imagine those waves rising and falling, ebbing and flowing. And again, this is a very calming, soothing breath, particularly if you can exhale through the mouth. You might just imagine waves rising and falling, and that almost monotonous, constant rise and fall can be very hypnotic. You feel very meditative. Again, this might be enough for you here. If we want to take this breath one step deeper, we can come into our golden thread breath. Same pattern. Inhale. Through the nose, breath rises. Exhale through pursed lips. Really gently blowing the breath away. That breath is going to get really long as you're blowing it through pursed lips because it takes a little while to come out. Inhale, keep that nice, slow, steady rhythm. We don't need to panic and speed it up. Top of the breath, slow exhale through the mouth. And this breath is called golden thread breath. Because as you exhale, blow the breath, start to imagine that breath as a really delicate golden thread of breath. It might come out in a straight line. Or it might start to wiggle and wave out of the mouth, this beautiful golden thread of breath. So that with each exhale through the mouth, as you blow that golden thread away, that golden thread is floating away, leaving the body. With each exhale, so that golden thread is getting longer and longer. It might be floating away into the distance, into the sky. It might bob behind a cloud. It might be caught on the breeze and wiggle around, almost like the string of a kite. And so the longer you stay in this golden thread breath, further and further away that golden thread goes. Until at some point, depending on how long you stay here, that golden thread of breath reaches beyond the horizon. The end disappears from sight, so you can't even see where you began. And again, you might stay with this golden thread of breath, finding this balance, this softness, this flow, this connection to body and breath and baby. If you're feeling any tension in the body, in the mind, in the heart, any resistance, as you exhale, maybe imagine that tension, that thought, that feeling, leaving the body, gently releasing it away in that golden thread of breath. Personally, I'm a very visual person. I like to imagine almost like a little knot. It's very fine because the golden thread is so fine. But as you exhale that tension, a little knot on that golden thread leaves the body. You can watch that little knot physically removing, floating away from the body. And maybe as you do that, you feel softness in whatever area of the body you felt tension. So maybe if it's in the face and jaw, the face feels softer. Maybe if it's in the neck and shoulders, they feel longer and heavier in their sockets. Maybe if it's in the spine or lower back, you can sink a little deeper. Sinking or melting away. And again, you can stay with this golden thread breath as long as you like. It brings peace and harmony and softness and balance. And all of these breaths are wonderful to just bring us back to ourselves, to restore, to simmer down, to find peace, to allow us to calm down before rest or sleep, or if we're feeling really aggravated or anxious about something. These breaths can also be really helpful in the early stages of labour when we're kind of riding those waves, which we'll talk about more in our pelvic floor exercises, to bring this feeling of ground, connectedness, of ebb and flow, to ride those waves of contractions in the body when they're not too advanced. Dependent on how proficient you become at this breath, you can take this breath all the way through. And that's why sometimes these visualizations of the circle, or probably more so the waves or the golden thread leaving the body floating away, can be really helpful, can be really supportive to that breath, to that feeling, because it can become really meditative as you follow the ebb and flow of the waves. Maybe even imagine those waves in a particular place that's special to you, that's familiar to you. Similarly, with that golden thread of breath, you can imagine that breath going off into the distance. Perhaps there's a scene or a vista that golden thread is blowing away over the ocean, over the hills, over a field, over your home, towards your people, whatever it is, guiding you closer and closer. Maybe even that golden thread, maybe those waves take you closer and closer to your baby in your arms. So taking our closing moments here together with these more balancing restorative breaths, you can stay here as long as you want. I'm going to leave you quietly. You're very welcome to stay with your circle, your waves, your golden thread breath, or any other visualization that you find helpful here. There are many. And then I bid you adieu for now. I will find you again soon.